Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Janda, and please welcome to our Operation Freedom platform, WeThePeopleProcessing.com. You know, are you tired of being threatened to be canceled just because you have a company focused on liberty and freedom? Well, worry no more, folks. WeThePeopleProcessing.com is your go-to merchant services, freedom-based company to provide business service payment solutions. We the People Processing provides their clients a cancel culture-free platform which is domestically based. They provide competitive rates, no contracts with next-day funding, a fully vetted and like-minded financial infrastructure, and full support for integrations, implementation, and e-commerce efforts. Bottom line, WeThePeopleProcessing.com focuses on defending your company's free market growth, values, and future. Check them out at www.WeThePeopleProcessing.com. Once you're on the site, enter in password Operation Freedom or call 855-499-2024. That's WeThePeopleProcessing.com. Then, when on the website, enter Operation Freedom as your password or call 855-499-2024.
Welcome back to Operation Freedom, folks. I'm Dr. Dave Janda, broadcasting from our ancillary bunker link to our main Freedom Bunker in the People's Republic of Ann Arbor, here every Sunday for you live from 2 to 5 Eastern. But the fun doesn't start and stop on Sundays from 2 to 5 Eastern with our Operation Freedom platform. We are available 24/7 with extra videos, extra shows, extra content, extra guests, extra analysis, much of which is free. Hard to believe, but free. That what you get for priceless information you will not get from any other source at davejanda.com. Of course, if you want to support what we do and how we do it, you can become a subscriber at 30 cents a day for our most in-depth information, which gives you access to our premium service content, which is not available on the free side of the platform. 30 cents a day. And it's priceless. That's not an overstatement. Fact. We hope you become part of our freedom family. My next guest is someone who has dedicated his entire life to freedom. In fact, because of his dedication, he came very close to dying at the hands of the Mexican drug cartel, the Los Zetas. His partner, Jaime Zapata, did die. Victor Avila came very close to dying. Why? Because he was targeted, as was his partner, for being freedom fighters. Exactly what the Mexican drug cartels and their owners, the globalist syndicate, don't make no mistake about it. The reason why the Mexican drug cartel and all the drug cartels exist is because they are essentially the foot soldiers for the globalist syndicate of chaos, death, and destruction. Victor Avila is a retired supervisory special agent with the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement Office, ICE, Homeland Security Investigations, under the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. ICE enforces federal laws governing border control, customs, trade, and immigration to promote homeland security and public safety. Victor has been recognized by ICE and HSI for his exemplary service and professional accomplishments while serving as special agent at the El Paso field office. In addition, Victor served as an accredited diplomat and liaison, the international complex criminal investigations in a wide array of violations such as narcotics trafficking, arms trafficking, human trafficking and smuggling, financial violations, commercial fraud, and counterterrorism. As I mentioned, while on official assignment in Mexico, Special Agent Avila suffered multiple gunshot wounds and survived a violent ambush by the Mexican Los Zetas drug cartel, where his partner, Special Agent Jaime Zapata, tragically lost his life. Victor is also a phenomenal author. If you haven't gotten his book, well, why not? You should. And you need to read it. And then you need to buy it for every member of your family and friends. Agent Under Fire. It gives you incredible insight into what's really happening on the border, what's really happening with our government. Actually, what's really not happening with our government. But Victor also outlined solutions of what can be done to end this chaos and this nightmare that is occurring for every citizen of our country, and frankly, for every one of those people that are being transported across that border illegally. agentunderfirebook.com. It is my honor to welcome back Victor Avila. Victor, welcome back to the Operation Freedom Show and platform.
It's great to be back with you, Dr. Janda.
So, Victor, you were recently at the border. Yet again, that makes it, Victor Avila, many dozens of trips and recon missions to the border and beyond. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, 0 is the scoreboard. Victor, educate us what you learned this past week down at the border.
A lot to share with you on this trip. I was just there last week, spent 3 days, which now has become ground zero of the border, which is Eagle Pass, Texas, and Del Rio area. It's called the Del Rio sector. And unfortunately, every time I go down there, I think, well, maybe things have improved, and that's not the case. It's gotten worse. If it was out of control last time we spoke, it is worse now, because not only are thousands of people coming into the country undocumented, unvetted, now we're accepting possible criminals that are being released from the Venezuelan prison system and rehabilitation centers that I have been talking about for a long time. And DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, actually put out an intel memo that Breitbart was able to at least put out and got their hands on it, that in fact confirms what I've been saying, that Maduro, that regime over there, is releasing their criminals and sending them over to the United States. And these are the worst of the worst, Dr. Janda. We're talking about criminals that will rob you, cheat you, stab you, rape you, murder you. And guess what? They don't report anything in the databases. So they're turning themselves in. They don't have to be smuggled. They will come in and pretend that they have no criminal history. However, if you look at the signs, they have scars, they have torture markings that indicate that they've been in prison, yet our regime on this side, the Biden regime, allows them to be fully admitted into the U.S. and into our communities. It's a public safety issue, national security issue, and it has been all along.
And then, Victor, as you have pointed out, for a long period of time, these people that are coming in illegally, they are given these manila envelopes that include plane tickets, bus tickets for whatever destination they want to go. Many people believe, well, this is a real problem in Texas. This is a real problem in Arizona, real problem in California at the border. No, Victor, this is a national problem. You name the state, you name the city, and I'm not just naming big cities. You name the city, it's a problem, Victor, isn't it?
It is a huge problem, and if people think that it was the Republicans that started sending buses and airplanes just these last couple of months to Martha's Vineyard and these other locations, they're gravely mistaken. It continues to happen by the Democrats themselves. El Paso, Texas is my next stop, is out of control. They have absolutely nowhere to put them. They're actually being released to the street. Even in Eagle Pass, Texas, where I just came from, they were releasing them to the streets. I'm talking about illegal aliens walking amongst the community, not knowing where to go, until, you mentioned them, the NGO gets a hold of them, provides them with the bus ticket or airline ticket. And yes, again, I flew with them from the airport in Del Rio, and I need to tell you this story. A Border Patrol agent asked me for my citizenship right before I went to TSA. But right in front of me was a group of about 6 illegal aliens, and I thought it was such it's upside down and backwards. I thought it was in the Twilight Zone. Why you would ask me for my citizenship when you just allowed 6 illegal aliens to go through? This is what makes absolutely no sense at the border.
Hey, Victor, did you say to that guy, I'm with them?
Yeah, it's the Border Patrol agent. I said, "What are you doing? Your position here at the airport makes absolutely no sense. I'm a U.S. citizen. You just asked me for my citizenship, and it makes no sense that you would now be asking me when, in fact, you just let. What did they say when you asked them for citizenship? Oh, guess what? They don't get asked that question. They get allowed because they're illegal. Oh, so if you're an illegal alien coming into this country, you will be allowed and get very, very a lot of protections. We talk about the National Guard. I had a little incident with the National Guard because they seem to be protecting the illegal aliens coming up from the river as I encountered them because I just wanted to interview them. People from Venezuela, Colombia,
Wait, Victor.
Cuba.
So, Victor, so these illegals are coming in from Venezuela and Cuba. You were going up to them to talk to them to find out the story and interview them. And the National Guard didn't go after them, but went after you?
Yes, they wanted to prevent me from talking to them. And I said, what are you doing? They're not under arrest. They're not under the custody of the National Guard. They're just there to observe and keep them there until they call for the Uber ride. I'm sorry, for the Border Patrol ride to get to the processing center. But yet me as an American, as a retired federal agent, cannot go up to the illegal aliens and talk to them? Well, I had a little bit of an issue with that. Yeah. We eventually got to the bottom line, and I did get there, and we did have the permission, not only in the public areas, but also from the private landowners. People need to understand, a lot of this land that touches our border up to the river is privately owned. People own this, and we have made contact with the private owners to have the permission to access that area, which we did. We did everything right, and I did interview them. Oh, my goodness, the information that these aliens are providing, one of the biggest things is their journey is no longer, the worst part of the journey is no longer at the Darien Gap. It's now in Mexico. They've been extorted in Mexico. They've been robbed in Mexico. They've been cheated in Mexico. They've been jailed. But guess what? Not by the cartel, or sometimes by the cartel, but by the government, the Mexican corrupt government. And this is why I stress the need for the U.S. government to intervene in Mexico, because they are not being held accountable.
So the Mexican government is shaking down these illegals.
Oh, they're making hand over fist with money off of the illegals, extorting them any which way, holding them hostage. As a matter of fact, the cartels have now taken possession of the wall on the Mexican side. You heard that right. They've taken control of who can access the wall. Not cross. We're not talking about smuggling. We're talking about which illegal alien can get close to the Donald Trump wall, for example, in the Tijuana area in California. That is controlled. So they hold the aliens hostage until they get to pay to get access to the wall to get smuggled. It is a moneymaker by the cartels, by the Mexican corrupt government, and no one is putting an end to it. Yes, I have to mention that Governor Abbott signed an executive order this past week declaring some of these organizations foreign terrorist organizations, which I talk about in my book. I've been wanting that to happen. It must happen at the federal level, but at least, and I give credit where credit is due, at least this is a step in the right direction to where the government, a U.S. government, is recognizing the threat that the cartels are to our country.
Okay, Victor. So you're going up to these folks from Venezuela and Cuba, right? Coming across the border illegally, who've now been shaken down by either or both the Mexican government in order to get that far and the drug cartels, correct?
That's right.
Okay. And the National Guard is not going up to these people who could well have been released from a prison in Cuba and or Venezuela. But the National Guard is not going up to them saying, whoa, hold on, you're not coming in here. They're coming up to you because you're asking them questions. Now, Victor, tell me about this interaction with the National Guard. Did these guys look you in the eye and say this stuff, or were they too busy looking at their boots? I mean, did they realize that they're just being tools, freaking tools of the syndicate?
What struck me as is the waste of money and resources from, at this point, the state of Texas having the National Guard. Listen, I'm on their side. I feel for them. I don't think that's the way we're supposed to be utilizing them. And you're absolutely right, Dr. Janda. I'm like, what are you doing? What is your role here then? Other than, it's not deterrence, because while we were there, we saw groups of 40, 45 cross the river right in front of the Humvee, right in front of the river coming through. So it's not a deterrence. It's not that they're going to be detained. What is the role? And one of the words that really struck me from one of the guard members is the protection of the aliens. And I said, listen, what about the protection of the country? What about, why am I getting grief for trying to get close to them? Why aren't you giving them grief of people coming from 150 different countries in here? That's the issue.
Victor, this is so bass-ackwards, it's unbelievable.
It is. I'm telling you, every time I go down there, it is getting more convoluted. There's no good communication, even amongst the guardsmen. We went all the way to the public affairs officer, the captain. They're not in well communication. It is a nightmare. Yet, while all this is going on, thousands, hundreds of thousands of illegal aliens are entering the country, are being bused, are being flown, whatever, to your communities, making them more unsafe. And you know where we're at in this country with the crime surge all over. And yet we continue to ignore the national security and public safety that this means to us and our children. And, every day I hear about another case of an illegal alien hurting an American citizen. Well, then they care at that point. All of a sudden, that victim is wondering, why is this person here? Because you did not get involved. You did not question it when it was time, and the time is now to get involved.
Victor, and you mentioned the Martha's Vineyard situation, right? Oh, they were all for illegal immigrants. Oh, yeah, we're open and city, and we welcome. This is a sanctuary. Oh, yeah. Well, the minute an illegal sets foot on Martha's Vineyard, they were calling we're calling the National Guard, and we're going to get you out of here. Let me tell you something, Victor. Illegal aliens spent less time on Martha's Vineyard than the guests to Obama's last birthday party.
And guess what? Even in Chicago, they're busing them out to the suburbs. These are the worst hypocrites that I ever seen, where they just, did not practice what they preach, but they're at least getting people ask me, are you for the buses? And Governor Abbott and DeSantis doing that. And I say yes, in the sense that it's forced them to look at the issue. They forced them to look at the border security issue, yet it's not solving it. And I know I talked to you about solutions. I'm a solution guy. I write the solutions in my book. Declaring the cartel as a foreign terrorist organization, that's a solution. Implementing the policy, the White House keeps on blaming Trump. It is incredible to me how they keep on blaming the prior administration for the disaster that they created. It's the policies of this regime that we're seeing what we're seeing. There is lawlessness down there, Dr. Janda. No immigration law is being enforced. There is no prosecutions of that. Let me tell you, I got to mention something else really quick. I went to the cemetery in Maverick County in Eagle Pass, Texas, where 45 unmarked graves of illegal aliens were buried, including some of children. Why? Because death is what's happening right now. By having an open border system, you have people drowning, people dying, people hanging themselves, illegal aliens doing all this, and they ran out of resources. They don't even have money to run the DNA test to identify the body. So they had to bury them as unidentified as Jane Does and John Does and baby Does. And it is, we're humanitarian. We're humans. We have feelings too. And this is what I want the Biden administration to understand, that their policies are actually inhumane. It's not the other way around.
Well, and then you have these organizations that are now suing DeSantis for sending these illegals to Martha's Vineyard. Now, by the way, they all signed papers before they were sent to Martha's Vineyard. Yeah, we want to go there. That sounds good. We're all for it, right? Well, it turns out, Victor, I did a little searching on the money behind these groups suing DeSantis. Guess who's funded them to the tunes of millions of dollars? That would be George Soros's Open Society Group, right? Who's
Correct.
funding the lawyers to sue DeSantis. And I did a little bit further investigation. Guess who else who funded these organizations that are suing DeSantis? That would be the United States taxpayers through the Biden administration's run Center for Disease Control. They awarded a Soros-backed pro-migrant nonprofit $7.5 million. And that is the money being used to sue DeSantis for sending illegals that have already signed off that they're willing to go to Martha's Vineyard, Victor.
It's all voluntarily. The illegals want to go. They're getting a free ride. The same thing from El Paso, my hometown, where they're left as can be, better world. And even the Democrats are saying, we can't keep them. We're going to bus them, charge the El Paso City taxpayers $2 million to put them in 50-plus buses to get them out. But they want to get out. They're not staying. Some might stay in El Paso, but they're not staying in the border towns. They're going everywhere. This is the part that people don't understand, and I'll say it every time. They're going to every corner of the country. And you know who else is in every corner of our country? The cartels with the fentanyl and the meth.
Victor, what can people do to help alleviate this situation? Because if people are going to rely on government to fix this, no, government's perpetuating this. What do people need to do?
We need to get involved. And I'm talking about locally. Get involved. I've become involved with the America Project. Look them up, the AmericaProject.com. We're doing a lot. We're trying to bring the awareness to the rest of the country. I'm currently traveling right now doing that. We'll be doing it in New York. We'll be doing conferences, meeting with sheriffs. Get involved locally. Pay attention to your local elected officials and hold them accountable, because they will start making decisions very soon, if not already, on what happens to the school or your school, your teachers, where your children are attending, the healthcare systems, your sheriffs, your mayors. What kind of decisions are they going to make? Are they going to make the decisions based on you and put you, the U.S. citizen, first, or the illegal aliens that are coming in and overwhelming these small communities and small towns around the United States? Get involved, go to the meetings, hold them accountable.
Yeah, that's a very important point, Victor, because here's the deal. If you don't peacefully, as you mentioned, address these individuals in your community that are supposed leaders, then they don't know you're wise to what's really going on. And if they don't know you're wise, they're going to make the wrong decision 10 out of 10 times. Victor, in our last 2 minutes, educate our listeners on how they can follow you on a daily basis and how they can get your phenomenal book, Agent Under Fire.
You can follow me on social media. Usually you can follow me under just my name, Victor Avila, or Victor Avila TX, as in Texas. The book, you can find it at agentunderfirebook.com. I have been trying to go and speak around the country. If you wanted me to come to your organization and speak, go to victoravilaspeaks.com. And as I mentioned, the America Project, this is, I'm teaming up with ex-ICE director under Donald Trump, Tom Homan, to bring the awareness. We're trying to open the eyes of the people and say, listen, this is what's happening. This is the real threat.